Over the past few episodes, the Carbon Farming Awareness Hub podcast has laid the foundation for understanding carbon farming from multiple perspectives. We've introduced the concept, explored practical methods, examined policy support, and heard directly from farmers navigating the transition. Together, these episodes have helped define what carbon farming is, why it matters, and how it's being implemented across Europe, both as a climate solution and as a pathway to more resilient, regenerative agriculture. As we've seen, carbon farming is not just a technical shift, it's a cultural and economic one too. It's evolving, shaped by climate realities, EU ambition, and the ingenuity of farmers. But if the first 4 episodes helped us understand where we are, it's now time to ask, what comes next? In episode 5, we take a forward-looking approach. We'll explore emerging technologies like AI, real-time soil monitoring, and satellite-based verification, innovative practices and pilot projects that are pushing boundaries, and the systemic enablers and barriers that will determine whether these new approaches can be adopted widely. This episode isn't about speculation, it's about evidence-based innovation that's already beginning to reshape the future of European agriculture. What does the farm of 2030 look like? What tools will farmers have at their fingertips? And how can we ensure that these innovations are inclusive, accessible, and farmer-driven? Let's dive into what's ahead for carbon farming, not just as a climate strategy, but as a movement for regenerative, smart, and resilient agriculture. With a strong foundation in place, this episode marks a shift from exploring the current landscape of carbon farming to imagining what lies ahead. As the climate crisis deepens and sustainable agriculture becomes more urgent, innovation is playing an increasingly central role. Across Europe, research institutions, agri-tech companies, and even farmers themselves are developing and testing new tools that could transform how carbon is captured, measured, and valued in agricultural systems. But innovation alone isn't enough. We'll also consider the barriers to adoption, the infrastructure needed to support these changes, and how to ensure that the benefits reach all types of farmers, not just early adopters or large-scale operations. This forward-looking conversation is meant to inspire, inform, and prepare. Because if carbon farming is to become mainstream, it must evolve, and that evolution is already underway. Let's explore the tools, systems, and ideas shaping the carbon farms of tomorrow. As carbon farming evolves, emerging technologies are beginning to reshape how we manage soil health, track carbon, and make decisions on the farm. Tools like AI-driven soil diagnostics, real-time carbon sensors, satellite imaging, and blockchain-enabled verification systems are making it possible to monitor carbon flows more accurately and efficiently. These innovations are not replacing traditional knowledge, they're enhancing it, giving farmers smarter insights, greater transparency, and stronger participation in climate action and carbon markets. While technological development is often discussed in theoretical or research contexts, many carbon farming innovations are already being tested and applied in real-world farm settings across Europe. These pilot initiatives are providing invaluable insights into how advanced tools and techniques can be adapted to the diversity of European agricultural systems, from olive groves in Greece to mixed farms in Belgium and vineyards in Spain. Several farms are experimenting with drone-assisted cover cropping, where unmanned aerial vehicles are used to seed cover crops with precision, improving soil protection without requiring heavy machinery or manual labor. This is especially useful for sloped terrains or inaccessible fields, where conventional seeding is impractical. In parallel, biochar applications, where carbon-rich charcoal is added to the soil, are being tested for their ability to improve soil structure, water retention, and long-term carbon storage. Other pilot projects are focused on carbon-negative inputs, such as specially designed fertilizers or compost systems that not only improve plant growth but also actively reduce net emissions. These products are being evaluated not just for their carbon impact but also for their effects on crop yield and economic viability, ensuring that environmental performance does not come at the expense of productivity. In livestock systems, farms are testing sensor-guided rotational grazing, using GPS collars and mobile fencing systems to optimize grazing patterns, regenerate pasture health, and increase soil organic carbon. These systems reduce overgrazing while supporting biodiversity and improving animal welfare, outcomes that align with both ecological and consumer-driven goals. A common theme among these prototypes is their emphasis on integration and adaptability. Rather than offering a one-size-fits-all solution, these innovations are being co-developed with farmers, allowing for real-time feedback and iterative improvement. Whether through public-private partnerships, EU-funded innovation grants, or university-led research collaborations, these projects are ensuring that innovation is grounded in local reality, both technically and economically. Perhaps most importantly, these prototypes are not limited to large-scale or high-tech farms. Many are being deliberately trialed on small and medium-sized holdings, helping to identify which tools are scalable, affordable, and relevant for the vast majority of Europe's farming community. These real-world examples demonstrate that carbon farming innovation is not a distant goal, it's already in motion. The challenge now lies in moving from isolated pilots to broader implementation, where innovation becomes accessible and impactful at scale. Despite the exciting potential of new tools and technologies, the widespread adoption of carbon farming innovation still faces significant hurdles, many of which are deeply structural. This innovation gap reflects a growing divide between what's technically possible and what's practically accessible on the ground, particularly for small and medium-scale farmers who often lack the financial resources, infrastructure, or technical capacity to implement advanced solutions. One of the most immediate challenges is cost. Many of the technologies being piloted, such as real-time soil sensors, AI-enabled monitoring systems, or advanced machinery for regenerative practices, come with high upfront investments. Without subsidies or targeted funding schemes, many farmers are reluctant or unable to take the financial risk of experimenting with tools that may not provide short-term returns. Even where funding exists, it may be difficult to access due to bureaucracy, language barriers, or lack of awareness. Beyond cost, there's the issue of digital literacy and training. Not all farmers are comfortable using data dashboards, interpreting satellite maps, or troubleshooting sensor connectivity issues. The reality is that innovation cannot succeed without strong technical support systems. Many farmers report feeling isolated during the adoption process, without local expertise to help integrate new tools into their workflows or to troubleshoot problems when they arise. In some cases, this leads to tools being abandoned before they've had a chance to demonstrate value. Mr. Lambros Antonopoulos, a Greek olive oil producer and one of the farmers collaborating on this project, reflects this sentiment. He explained that while he already uses smart farming tools, including GPS-based spraying systems and weather station data, the real need lies in hands-on training, technical guidance, and peer-to-peer learning. For Lambros, innovation is welcome and necessary, especially in the face of increasing climate instability, but it must come with the right kind of support. He stressed that field experimentation and farmer communities are essential to building confidence and capability.
As long as it serves sustainability and supports observation, it's an appreciated tool.
For widespread adoption of carbon farming in Greece, he believes that accurate, practical information and fair incentives, along with clear examples from the field, not just theory, are the keys to success. Knowledge gaps also persist at the institutional level. Local agronomists, advisors, and even policy implementers may be unfamiliar with the latest carbon farming methods or digital tools, leading to inconsistent or outdated guidance. This slows adoption and creates confusion among farmers who are eager to transition but unsure where to start or how to measure success. Additionally, verification and accountability systems present a major bottleneck. To access carbon credits or other market incentives, farmers must often document their practices and prove measurable outcomes, something that requires consistent data collection, standardized metrics, and third-party validation. Without user-friendly tools or affordable services to handle this, many farmers simply opt out of participating in these programs altogether. Finally, there is a cultural and psychological challenge. In regions where traditional farming methods have been practiced for generations, the shift toward high-tech, data-informed agriculture can feel like a threat to local identity and experience. Farmers may encounter skepticism from neighbors, resistance from within their own families, or hesitation about abandoning familiar ways of working. Unless innovation is framed as a complement to farmer wisdom rather than a replacement for it, resistance to change will remain a serious barrier. To bridge this innovation gap, a multi-level support system is needed, combining accessible funding, on-the-ground training, peer-to-peer learning networks, and policy alignment. Technologies should be co-developed with farmers, not for them, and success should be measured not only by carbon capture but by how effectively innovations empower farmers to build healthier, more resilient landscapes. As carbon farming technologies and practices evolve, one of the most powerful forces shaping their future isn't just policy or innovation, it's people. More specifically, it's the next generation of farmers, agricultural students, and sustainability-minded youth who will carry these tools and ideas forward. Engaging young people in carbon farming isn't just about training future land managers, it's about building long-term climate resilience from the ground up. Across Europe, a generational shift is already underway. Many young farmers entering the field today are highly motivated by climate concerns, environmental values, and the desire to work with purpose. Compared to previous generations, they are often more open to innovation, more comfortable with digital tools, and more proactive in seeking education and international collaboration. This makes them ideal ambassadors for the new wave of carbon-conscious agriculture. However, to unlock this potential, targeted support is essential. Youth in agriculture still face systemic challenges: limited access to land, high startup costs, rural depopulation, and lack of visibility in agricultural policy. Without deliberate investment in the growth, carbon farming risks being seen as a high-tech concept for elite farms rather than a practical movement for all generations. This is where training programs, EU mobility projects, and innovation-focused educational pathways play a critical role. Initiatives like Erasmus+, Life, and agricultural vet schools are starting to incorporate hands-on learning about climate adaptation, soil regeneration, digital monitoring tools, and sustainable farm business models. These opportunities not only build skills but also foster community, collaboration, and confidence among young people. Furthermore, digital communication and content creation are helping to reshape how farming is perceived. Young carbon farmers are increasingly using platforms like Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok to document their regenerative practices, share knowledge, and inspire others. This visibility helps combat outdated narratives about agriculture being static, low-tech, or disconnected from sustainability. Some youth-led initiatives are also pioneering community-supported agriculture, CSA, models, carbon offset cooperatives, and agroecological incubators that combine innovation with entrepreneurship. These projects demonstrate that youth aren't just joining agriculture, they're reinventing it to meet the challenges of the 21st century. For carbon farming to become a long-term, transformative movement, young people must not only be included, they must be empowered as leaders, co-designers, and change agents. That means ensuring access to land, funding, education, networks, and platforms that allow them to thrive. Investing in the next generation of farmers is not a side issue, it is a strategic priority. The sustainability of our soil, food systems, and rural landscapes depends on it. Looking ahead to 2030, the carbon farm of the future is likely to be a smart, resilient, and data-driven ecosystem, one that balances productivity with environmental responsibility. These farms won't just grow food, they'll actively sequester carbon, regenerate soil health, conserve biodiversity, and contribute to climate resilience. At the heart of this transformation will be integrated digital systems that provide real-time insights on soil conditions, carbon levels, crop health, and weather patterns, empowering farmers to make precise, sustainable decisions day by day. Imagine a typical mid-sized European farm where soil sensors relay moisture and carbon data to a mobile dashboard, drones monitor crop coverage and detect stress, and automated machinery applies compost or biochar only where it's needed. Crop rotations are optimized using AI models trained on years of field data, while earthworm activity, pollinator presence, and microbial diversity are tracked as key indicators of ecological performance. At the same time, carbon sequestration data is verified using blockchain and remotely submitted to carbon credit platforms, creating a new revenue stream for farmers that directly rewards environmental stewardship. Crucially, this vision of the future isn't about replacing farmers with technology. It's about augmenting traditional knowledge with smart tools that make farming more efficient, resilient, and climate-aligned. The most successful farms in 2030 will likely be those that blend innovation with intuition, relying on both digital tools and deep understanding of local ecosystems. As we bring this episode to a close, one thing becomes clear: carbon farming is not just a trend, it's a growing movement with real potential to reshape the way we interact with our land, our food systems, and our climate responsibilities. The future is already unfolding in fields and farms across Europe, where innovation is being driven not only by technology, but by the courage and commitment of farmers, researchers, educators, and young changemakers. In this episode, we explored what the next chapter of carbon farming could look like, from soil sensors and drones to youth-led initiatives and cooperative models. These are not abstract concepts. They are part of an emerging reality where regenerative agriculture, climate resilience, and smart technologies intersect. But for this future to materialize equitably and effectively, collaboration will be key. Farmers cannot be expected to shoulder the burden of innovation alone. Governments must ensure enabling policies, educators must nurture climate-literate minds, and communities must stay engaged and informed. Innovation must be inclusive, accessible, and co-created, rooted in both cutting-edge science and the lived experience of those who work the land. The voices of farmers like Mr. Lambros Antonopoulos remind us that while technology can offer tools, it is knowledge, observation, and community support that truly enable transformation. It's not just about smart machines, it's about cultivating smarter systems and stronger relationships across the agricultural landscape. To everyone listening, whether you're a farmer looking to take the next step, a student eager to make an impact, or a policymaker shaping tomorrow's frameworks, your role is vital. The transition to sustainable agriculture is not a solo effort, it is a shared journey, one field, one conversation, and one innovation at a time. We invite you to keep exploring, stay connected, and be part of the growing network that's rethinking agriculture for the better. To access more tools, stories, and practical resources, visit www.carbonfarmhub.eu. Thank you for tuning in to the Carbon Farming Awareness Hub podcast. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and keep cultivating the future.